So a few days ago, I got my Game Informer here, and I like reading a segment that they call The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It only takes up about a page, but it's pretty simple. They call it the news with a sarcastic spin. First, they list some good stuff that happens, normally like new games are being announced, or a merger that they like, or a game comes out that's better than expected. Then they talk about the bad. The bad typically are just like games that came out that weren't nearly as good as people expected, or maybe games that were cancelled a lot of times. Then they talk about the ugly. Now the ugly are like, whoa, sometimes. This is a case of like, that's ugly. Alright, let me read you a little bit here they have about the PlayStation Wand. I'll give you some background information as I read it. Industry analyst Michael Patchter. Alright, already. Michael Patchter is just, like I said, an industry analyst. He is, I don't know, he's kind of old, but he looks at video game sales. He makes a lot of predictions about stuff. He looks at game sales, hardware sales, that type of stuff. And he makes a lot of predictions about like what the price of new consoles will be, how well they'll sell, and how well games will sell, and just stuff of that sort. Alright, so industry analyst Michael Patchter revealed an aspect of the February NPD numbers that the sales organization was not making public. Now, NPD, I believe, only operates in North America. They're basically a group that goes around and they estimate the sales for everything for 1 month. In this case, February. I'm not entirely sure how they do it, but their numbers normally are pretty accurate. They basically estimate the sales of consoles and video games as far as we're concerned. They do other stuff as well, but none of us care about it. Alright. So industry analyst Michael Patchter revealed an aspect of the February NPD numbers that the sales organization was not making public. Xbox 360 Connect bundles outsold the PS3's Move bundles by 5 to 1 that month. Yike. Surprise. One company aggressively marketed its product, and the other let its launch leak out like a fart in the wind. Guess which one is which? Overall, I kind of like that article because it actually got me to really realize how much Sony's marketing lets down pretty much everybody. Now, like I said, as far as I know, NPD only operates based on North American sales, and the Xbox 360 is pretty popular here. So I entirely expected the 360 to outsell PS3 here, and thus also expected Kinect to outsell the Move. It's not really a surprise, but I was expecting something like a 2 to 1 ratio, not a 5 to 1 ratio. I mean, 2 to 1 is what you would expect, 5 to 1 is just murder. And like my subscribers will tell you, I'm a Sony fan. So I'm not exaggerating this, but like the Move is being crushed right now in North America. And like I said, this lets down a whole lot of people. The main reason that it's doing so badly is just that Sony hasn't marketed it at all. Of course, Microsoft, being from the United States, has a ton of marketing here, a ton of support. They've marketed it a ton. Now, it lets down gamers in a couple ways. First of all, a couple million people have already bought a Move. Now, I'm not going to say you're a fanboy if you've already bought a Move or a Kinect, but the reason that so many Kinects have sold is largely due to 360 fanboys. Maybe not entirely, but mostly. And same thing for Move sales. But, you know, when the Move doesn't sell because of Sony's marketing, it lets down gamers. Because when companies see that the Move isn't selling, they aren't going to make games for it. Companies are out there to make money, and if they see that the Move isn't selling, they're not going to put capital into developing games for the Move. They just aren't going to bother. Because at this rate, unless something changes, the Move isn't going to last that long. I mean, I'd be surprised if it stuck around, like, fully supported for 2 years at this rate. Again, like I said, something could change, you know, could start selling better. Sony could actually try to market it. But unless something does change, I wouldn't expect it to really stick around for even 2 years. Eventually, Sony's going to stop supporting it, and no other company is going to support it if it doesn't sell at all, because they know that they can't make money off of it. So gamers get let down because they don't get games. Pretty simple. But besides that, they also get let down because they wasted money buying the system already. You know? I mean, if you already spent your hard-earned money buying a Move, and then it ends up completely failing because Sony didn't market it, well, that lets you down a couple ways. So you wasted your money and you don't get any games. That's pretty bad. But it also lets down the developers. Because, like, the developers knew about the game at least as long as hardcore gamers did. Most of them probably knew about it before. So they've already put maybe millions of dollars into a game that they're developing for the Move. If it turns out that the Move doesn't do too well, which at this rate it's not going to, they're going to lose a lot of money on that game. They've already invested a couple $1 million. They're not going to make that back if the Move doesn't sell. And again, because of that, they're going to pull support for the Move, you know? But besides that, they're going to try to remake that money. So how do you make money off of a system that doesn't sell very much? Well, unfortunately, what they're going to do is they're going to end up making what we call shovelware games, which are games that are cheap and quick to make. They know at this rate Move only has a couple years on the market, so they're going to try to make games as quickly as they can. They also know that if Move isn't selling very high, their game isn't going to sell that well. So they need to be able to make the game cheaply in order to make money off of it. So unfortunately, you're going to get a lot of mass-produced, really cheap games if this keeps up. A lot like what you have with the Wii. So that's really unfortunate too. But besides that, like, think of somebody. Imagine somebody at a development studio who has this great idea of something to do with the Move. Now, I won't deny for a second that the Move has a ton of potential. But imagine for a second that you're a guy working at a game developing place, maybe EA Games or wherever, and you have a great idea for a Move game. Well, the thing is, people who actually have good ideas are not going to be able to make the game that they want to. Because if companies see that the games, or that their games are not selling because the Move isn't selling, they're not going to let you make a game for the Move, because they know that they would lose money off of it. So people who actually have genuinely good ideas are not going to be able to make the games that they wish to. So again, gamers lose out on that too, and developers get hurt by that too. So it hurts creativity in the whole gaming industry. All this potential could potentially go to waste. So developers are going to lose money, then they're going to make a whole bunch of bad games trying to make it back. And they're not going to make good games. And because they make bad games, the Move is going to become associated with poor quality games. And so is the company, so it's going to hurt all their reputations. So it's really a bad situation for gamers and developers at the same time. But it's also, finally, a really bad place for Sony to be in. Because think about it. Again, this is mostly based on North American perspective, but most people in the United States still think that the PlayStation 3 failed as a console. I don't. Most people watching probably know better. But in North America, again, because Sony doesn't market anything, a lot of people, the only things that they heard about the PS3 were back when it launched, which went really badly. Which I think we all can admit that the launch of the PS3 was really bad. Unfortunately, like I said, Sony doesn't market anything. That's what a lot of people still think the PS3 is. You know, hardcore gamers should know better by now, but the average person probably doesn't. So in North America, the PS3 is already at least somewhat associated with a failed launch, and a failed console for some people. So Sony's reputation was already hurt because of that. Then, luckily, the PlayStation Go didn't get too much attention. But that failed epically. That's the worst console launch I can ever remember. And it deserved to be bad. I mean, the PSP Go was not a very appealing handheld. But the PSP Go did badly, so they already have 2 failed launches in the past 5 years. And now, if the PlayStation Wand fails on top of that, it's going to look to people like it's a complete failure across the board for Sony. It's going to look like Sony's gaming division is falling apart. Now, I know it's not. I think most of my viewers know it's not falling apart, really. You know, PS3 is doing fine now. It's not doing amazing, but it's doing alright. PSP Go, yeah, that was a complete mess up. The Wand at least has potential, though. But if Sony throws away that potential by putting their money in the wrong place, it's going to look like another failed launch, and Sony's reputation is going to get really messed up. Not to mention, Sony's putting a lot of money now into the console, but they're doing it all the wrong way. Right now, they're putting money into making games for the console, which is pretty expensive. When I say the console, I mean the Move. So they're making Move games, and that's probably pretty expensive. They're blowing millions of dollars on that. Most of the games are coming out to be kind of mediocre reviews. So they're wasting money on that. They're losing money on that. I shouldn't say wasting, but they're losing money on that. And then they're losing money on making the Move itself. So they're losing a ton of money on this, too. So just to summarize everything, everyone's losing money, because game developers are not going to be able to make back the money that they lose. Gamers lose money buying the console and games for it. Sony loses money making the games in the console. And again, like I said before, this is based on if things do not change. If things change, this could all end differently. But right now, Sony's marketing has been consistently bad in North America for the past 5 years, so I see no reason to expect it to change. I really hope it does. Like I said, my subscribers can tell you I'm mostly a PlayStation fan, so I really hate to see this happen. But I'm just telling it like it is. I mean, at this rate, I cannot help but predict that this will go really badly. Sony really needs to step up their game of marketing, get serious about this, make some good games, and sell the Move. If they don't, gamers are losing, developers are losing, and Sony's losing. So, like the title of the video says, Sony is basically failing everybody if they don't get their act together. It's a really bad situation. I hope to see it change, but right now, that's the way it is.